Well, welcome to a trenchy bowl of dude soup. You run your spoon through it, and it just stays like that. Soup is supposed to be liquid. This is not. This bowl is sponsored by Crunchyroll. They are a streaming service that can give you all of the hot anime you can handle, which is quite a bit. You can try out Crunchyroll Premium for 30 days or 1 month for free by going to crunchyroll.com/dudesoup. You'll hear more about all of the wonderful changes your life could undergo if you only start living the anime lifestyle later. First, we got to live the Star Wars lifestyle because we need a title. You guys got to talk about Rogue One for a little bit.
We've talked about Rogue. We don't need a title. We've talked about Rogue One for what, an hour or two at least already.
Well, I want to keep things moving.
In our personal lives?
Yeah, in our personal. I know Benson came from the other side.
He came from the other side.
How did you do
Benson,
that?
he looped around.
Come here.
Boy, they just showed a Star Destroyer upside down.
Yeah.
But everything is upside down in space. There's no up.
That's true.
Figure that out. Yeah, man. It's so it's weird. So when I watched it, I was pretty dehydrated at that point. Already had a pretty bad headache. We saw it in 3D, and my brain was throbbing by the end of it. So I wasn't.
You experienced what I went through with Avatar.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
the first
Really?
movie I saw in theaters, 3D, and I remember having a bad headache for about a day and a half.
Wow.
It was that's when I realized, 3D's stupid.
It's
I
pretty
get it.
stupid.
Avatar was the one movie I saw in 3D where I was like, I'm there.
Me too.
I'm there. That was the one movie, and
feel like
still
that too, yeah.
remains the one movie. The only one that's come close is I did when they re-released Toy Story and Toy Story 2 double feature. They did that, and I was like, oh, but they did such a subtle thing with it. Like, it was barely noticeable.
Yeah.
Well, this
Do you
isn't-
like your films a little darker?
This ain't no
Cool.
Avatast. This is a Star. What is the go-to name for Star Wars podcasts? The Starcast? This is Starcast, number 1.
Yeah.
Pod
There's
Wars.
probably no. You have to pick some sort of
Wars.
obscure
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars term. or
Revenge of the
something like
Cast.
There it is.
the Boba Cast,
Pod
or
Racer Cast.
Fett Cast.
Pod Racer Cast.
C. Castillo.
A New Hope cast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't necessarily in the best frame of mind to judge it as soon as I stepped out of the theater. Aside from the third act, like all the. I guess we can also try to be mildly spoiler free. But
Oh, we're going to try and be spoiler free.
mildly. I mean, I feel like you know how the movie ends, right?
Well, we know how it ends.
There's
but
only one
there's a lot of stuff that happens in the movie that I didn't know about until I saw the film.
Well, fuck it then.
We can put it to a quick vote. Do we want to do a spoiler version or a non-spoiler?
There's only one thing you can spoil. Really.
Yeah, and I don't know that we need
We
to
can
talk
discuss
about
it without
15
that.
minutes or so.
Okay.
We don't need to.
Not really.
Does it factor into anyone's? I mean, I could do a 30-minute lecture on it, but I wasn't planning on doing it for the podcast.
I guess. Well, here's. I guess maybe this is a spoiler. I was a little disappointed. Maybe not disappointed. I don't know. It doesn't really play into, at least if we don't know yet, the future of the Star Wars franchise.
Oh, sure.
There's nothing in there where they were like, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Mr. Finn."
Yeah.
Well, I hope not.
Get it?
Yeah.
But did they say specifically not that? Like, these are completely standalone, nothing.
Yeah, they
Yes,
wanted them to be
and
standalone
I'm
characters.
actually okay with that.
too.
But then
prefer
also
it.
there's stuff where like I'm guessing everyone loves the droid. Was it KC-32?
K2SO.
K2SO.
Tuso. I don't know what the shortening is.
That he's a character that, because he's a droid, he could potentially come back in future films because they're like, oh yeah, we just found this robot and plugged him
see.
in, and he came back and we're like, oh cool, and he could show up in like episode 8 or something. That would be kind of cool. Like I said, so we don't know yet, but you don't think that's gonna happen?
We don't need it.
Yeah, no, we don't need it.
don't
I
know.
liked
People
most,
cheer for C-3PO.
I liked most about the fact that they were willing to make a movie that it's not a standalone Star Wars film. That's completely inaccurate. But a movie that is just like, we don't have to worry about signing these actors
Yeah, I like
for
that.
10-year deals.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, we don't have to worry about doing all stuff like this. We want to just tell these little stories from around the galaxy and these things that kind of existed on the periphery of all the things you know about Star Wars. You're still going to get all the stuff you want. Like there's no want for Star Destroyers or anything like that in this. Other major characters are obviously insanely at play within this storyline. But we don't need to worry about doing that stuff, which is good. That didn't stop the theater from clapping when C-3PO and R2-D2 showed
Spoiler.
up, which doesn't make any sense because they were in the movie last year.
Yeah.
Aren't
Well,
you
it's
guys
not like
excited,
you've missed
though,
people-
that they're the
People
only
have
ones that made it
40
all the
years
way
of
through?
exposure to those characters.
I know,
Of course they're excited about
but
them.
when you see it in Force Awakens, it made sense for people to see R2-D2 and be like, oh, R2-D2.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's back. Even though, again, R2-D2, C-3PO have been in all the Star Wars movies
Right.
this whole time. But
I guess, we can punch around quick summaries. For me, what I wanted going into it was cool spaceships flying around and explosions, and then maybe a little something to think about. As far as I'm concerned, like a Star Wars story or a side story or whatever, the fact that they're going to happen every year, not everyone has to be perfect, and I wasn't expecting it. And yeah, there's some issues, namely the first 30 minutes. Boy, are you fucking confused because they're bouncing around a lot of different characters, and you got to learn them all pretty quickly. And I still don't feel like I have a good handle on that, but. It's definitely one of those movies where I like the intention more than the execution with a lot of the characters themselves. Because I get philosophically what was going on there. It was actually pretty cool. The intent was cool. I don't know that it was executed all that well. And then, the last 30 minutes are just fucking sweet. Because I love Star Wars fights. All the sound effects, man, it's just in my DNA. So it's... For the price of a movie ticket, I was pretty pleased with my experience.
I certainly was too. I feel the same way as you, where it's like, okay, we're gonna get one of these every year. They don't all gonna be home runs. Like some of them just need to get on base.
Yeah.
And Rogue One gets on base. I'd say it's a double. Even so, like it's a really good hit. I agree with you. The first probably half of the movie is kind of like you're like, I hope this pays off, and I'm not sure that it does. The biggest shortcoming of the movie are the characters, which are kind of whatever. We walked out of the theater and we were like, I only know one of their names. Like I only want to know one of their names, and the only one I cared about was a robot.
I've seen the movie twice, and I'm still having a hard time remembering anyone's name.
Yeah.
Like
it's very tough.
Jan Orso?
Jen.
Is that Jen?
It's
So
Jen,
close.
right? Jen
Jen,
Orso.
Jen.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
I'm
remembering some of the planets.
I think in
Jeddah.
terms of like some of the other characters, because I can tell you what they all look like. I know.
Sure, yeah,
what
yeah.
minus, so it's kind of like Suicide Squad in a way, where the movie has its like palette of characters, but then also on the adventure, there's this a whole other group of disposable soldiers that are there too. Like remember the military guys that escort the Suicide Squad, and you're never introduced to them, and you're never given their names, but they just kind of die off occasionally, and also fill in the scenes.
Yeah.
Like your red shirt or
They do that
whatever.
kind of with Rogue One, where it's like, here are the people we know in the front row, but then there's also 2 rows of other soldiers who they never even introduce you to. That's totally fine. I'm totally fine. And in terms of an eclectic mix, it was cool. There's blind guy, there's big gun, there's pilot, there's other pilot,
The scare pilot,
there's
angry
robot, and then there's Jen Orso, right?
Which one's not solo?
All your favorites. The scaredy
or
pilot.
non-solo, yeah.
Non-solo.
They tried really hard to make him Han Solo, except he goes, Jin, we have to go here.
Yeah, he
You're
shot
like,
first
what?
twice.
Huh?
This
Hold
is, and I think I was
on.
thinking
Also,
about
Forrest
it.
Whitaker's in the movie.
I was thinking about it. I was like, why did they make so many people look so similar in this movie?
It was
Like,
weird casting.
It was
There
weird
was
casting,
some
but I think it's a symptom of, it's a bigger picture. We're thinking too small.
Maybe.
It's a bigger picture. It's not, we're beyond the phase of, here is the token black guy, here is the token white guy, here is the white woman, and here is the Asian man, right? That's never going to be the squad ever again. Globalization across cultures and races has changed. Everyone is just kind of hint of brown with some facial hair,
Which I like.
which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it.
It's in progressive in a lot of ways. That's probably how most of us are all going to look in a couple hundred years.
The cynical way I looked at it was, how brave of us to make a woman the lead. But she's escorted by men.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry.
And there are like 2 other women in the entire movie, which it didn't occur to me until the last fight.
The other woman is the head of the Rebel Alliance.
No, I know. I'm not.
Like, I don't care.
I'm not making
It was
a point
me.
about representation.
It was me. Like, look, if I was sitting at my desk at Kotaku or something, and I needed to, I needed
Nice
some.
try, Lucas, but you still didn't.
If I
pass
needed
the
some
eye
fuel,
test.
and and I was looking for something to get angry at, I'd go, oh great, a woman. Oh, but of course she needs to be escorted by men. And only one black guy, and you kill him.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Those arguments are immediately invalidated by Mon Mothma. I mean, immediately.
well, the whole thing's invalidated because it's a fantasy world. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Well, no, I know, but you're right, though.
don't-
People will make those arguments.
I still think it's a valiant effort to try. Whether or not she was there with other women or not, it's still cool that we can have 2 Star Wars movies in a row
Yes.
Yeah.
that are led by female heroines or whatever, and no one
Wasn't really.
in terms of money, no one cares.
No, no,
It still makes a boatload of money.
Well, it was like what the dump Star Wars hashtag or whatever.
Oh yeah, but that didn't literally.
No,
nothing.
but I'm saying like
There was
it
a
didn't
conservative
stop
backlash.
At no point did it stop it from making money.
Right.
Men are still going to go see movies that have female leads,
yeah, it
and
didn't
women
matter.
may be more inclined to go movies that have female leads.
Yeah.
It's like now it's awesome and it's inclusive.
I'm trying to think too, like I think we're always going to be looking at Star Wars through rose-tinted goggles because after Return of the Jedi, it was what, an Ewok special, and then
Yeah, there was
and
nothing.
then 3 pretty
You had to
shit
cross the desert.
prequels. I know people are like, well, I liked Revenge of the Sith. Okay, cool. You like maybe one of them. Like
Yeah.
out of 6 hours of entertainment, you got an hour's worth of okay stuff that maybe you like. That sucks.
I think the prequels are still better than the Hobbit films.
Ooh.
That's fine.
I think
I was
All right, guys.
I think they're way better, honestly.
God, I gotta go back. I gotta go back and watch The Hobbit.
I'd much rather sit down and watch the prequels.
So I
Than
want
Hobbits.
each of you to weigh in on this one thing.
Yeah.
From your particular viewpoint of being a Star Wars dork, what about Rogue One piqued your interest? I'll go first. For
I didn't
me,
even get a chance to say my opinion. But
sorry,
no,
Bruce.
no, it's fine.
I want to hear.
Blame
what
all
you're
these guys.
saying.
for saying too many
I've
words.
got 30 minutes lined up, so I can talk forever about this movie if you really want me to.
Okay, well, yeah, okay.
But you go ahead, Lawrence. You go.
We'll see the floor.
Play
after
his
we-
game and then we'll get back to you.
We'll make a
Bruce.
round, and then Bruce, you can have the floor. You can have the conch shell. For me, I was particularly intrigued by the representation of the Force in this film. There are a lot of moments where,
Or lack thereof.
well, sort of. There were a lot of moments of serendipity that you could argue was just luck, but A New Hope kind of made it pretty clear that at least its representation in A New Hope that mastery of the Force is also sort of knowing the flow of luck and randomness in the galaxy. Because there were a lot of moments where Obi-Wan, he didn't shoot lightning out of his hands, but he just really subtle little twists that tend to end up in his favor. And the way I saw that in Rogue One is that there were a lot of characters who had the fortune to not die until their critical point was passed. So like they got their job done and then immediately out. And there was some dialogue that kind of hinted towards that, namely Jin when they're in the spaceship and they're about to land on unnamed planet. It had a name. I'm just saying I don't remember what it was, but she was basically saying like we'll try our best and we'll take every chance we have, and when our chances are gone, then it's up. And that sort of described the arc of every single character in that movie. They did what they needed to do. They passed on the baton to keep hope alive, and then it was like the Force had helped them to get to that point. And once they did their job, it was then like reality crashed in on them, and they immediately exited the film in one way or another. So I'm kind of tossing in my head how that changes how the Force is represented in the movies, because A New Hope, it's super, super subtle. But then in Empire and Jedi, like in Empire, they're physically moving things in the world as opposed to just making noises or changing people's minds. And then in Jedi, and especially the prequels, they're space wizards. You know, they're jumping around and doing backflips and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. It's kind of interesting.
What was the question again? What was our
It was-
takeaway?
what-
one thing?
Yeah, just kick the horse.
What's the one Star Wars thing that kind of piqued your interest or makes you curious about Rogue One?
For me, it not necessarily made it curious, but I think one of the things that it utterly excelled at was production design. This movie takes place before A New Hope, and they clearly made a conscious decision to mimic that production design. So like despite having technology and whatever, you can 3D print anything you want to, they still make the control panels look like cardboard boxes, spray painted black with buttons hot glued onto them. And it's so genuine. It's way better than a C-3PO like cameo in terms of getting me back into the, oh, I'm excited, I'm a fan again. That kind of thing that's just ever present and it's never highlighted, it's just always there, is so much better than like a call out to a Star Wars character. If the Millennium Falcon flew by and the whole theater was, that doesn't count for me nearly as much as this counted. And it was the way they made things, it's weird, they have tons of great special effects in this movie and tons of shitty special effects. But the way they made battles confused me as to whether or not they were actual models or if they were CG creations.
Because they were both.
Yeah,
Because there were actual models.
Yeah,
Really?
CG
Yes.
creations
ones
that
are
were
models?
designed
So
to have physics like models. and
Some of the Star Destroyer shots were practical model
Yeah,
shots. They took those directly from A New Hope and used them.
That makes sense.
On purpose. They did it on purpose.
it's like
I was looking at them like they dumbed down the CGI. It feels like
That's models.
That's
me-
pretty cool.
To me, that's a much more genuine, cool way to acknowledge the journey and things you loved about past films than it is to have like, oh, and then everyone goes, hey, and they're like,
All right, Adam, what's your one thing?
My thing is just this is I always like seeing this was a big anything that has an expanded universe. I'm always interested in someone's unique take on it. I thought George Lucas was a little too grippy with it. People will celebrate him and call him a genius with like the circle theory and stuff like that, but really what I thought the movies were templates. They're like, okay, we got our intro, we got our wipe, we got this. The story takes place over the course of a week or so. Like, you look at all the movies, there's a lot of similarities. None of them really stand as like a unique, different film. They all have as they should, it's a franchise, it's fine. But this was the first movie where they said, other than being Ewok adventures, where they're like, you can pretty much do whatever you want, go nuts, but you have to stay within these confines. But like, didn't have to shoot it on a green screen. You didn't have to use the Force Awakens soundtrack. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could just make their own movie and they could use their own cinematography and their own actors, and it didn't really matter because most of it might not carry over. So that's what I wanted to see, and they did okay with it. Okay. Like, I think it was unique. It was cool. My thing is like I always like when kids grow up, and then they're the ones who are like, man, wouldn't it be cool if, and that's like J.J. Abrams. Yeah. Like, oh man, what if we had a lightsaber that looked like a claymore? And they go, yeah, let's make that. What if we saw the stormtroopers coming down on a battle? What if we humanized them? Wouldn't that be cool? And then someone goes, oh shit, I'm a movie director, I should make that. So I was hoping for more of that. But I think as more of these movies come out, we'll see a lot more of that.
Okay, Bruce.
Oh yeah, so the first,
just to set this up, Bruce, I think out of all of us,
this episode was brought to you.
You have spent the most time in around Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Read every EU book before it was all thrown in the dumpster, literally and physically.
That's right.
Metaphorically.
You left it on a curb.
No, we threw all those books in the dumpster. They all went straight in the dumpster.
Oh, really?
So I think out of all of us, you are the Star Wars scholar.
Yeah, well, so the very first thing that I did, I think that really benefited me, that I just sort of did on a whim, was read the book to get into the movie. Which it's called Catalyst, and which addressed all the pacing issues you guys have. Because you're absolutely right, there are pacing issues the first half hour of the film, introducing all the characters. But thankfully, that book established those few characters. In terms of the rest of them, like the pilot and the guy with the big gun and the Asian guy,
big gun and blind guy.
Yeah.
Please call them by their.
None of those guys are in the book. They're not there, so I don't have any previous backstory on them. It's just like watching a Harry Potter film and then reading the Harry Potter book. Those two things work synergistically, and they make the experience so much better. That said, the more that I think about Rogue One, the more I really enjoy it, and the more I realize how smart of a movie it actually is. And it was the opposite with Force Awakens. The more I thought about Force Awakens, the more I was like, just a rehash of A New Hope.
A really good one.
I was going to say, now, that's not to say it's an amazing film. It is a great film. But in terms of beats, it hits pretty much every beat. And Rogue One is paced, I think it's paced even better than Force Awakens in terms of action. Because the action escalates on higher and higher levels. And like Lauren said, the last 30 minutes of the film are probably some of the best action you'll ever see, especially in a Star Wars film.
If we're doing a 1-to-1, just real quick, the opening to Force Awakens, to me, is still gripping.
It's awesome.
Because there's immediately a mystery, and then you see Kylo Ren be a badass. Seeing a laser just being frozen.
Awesome.
I was like, I'm in. Rogue One, I was kind of like,
it takes a little bit.
Why are they panning in on the blue milk? Why is this important?
No, and that's the thing, and that's what I liked about Rogue One, is that I know James and I always talk about how with Iron Man, it's like introduce Iron Man, cool action scene in the middle, climax at the end. Oh, he flew in space and then dropped him, which is nothing. That's a nothing climax. Rogue One is exactly the opposite. There's a huge climax to this film, whereas it starts kind of slow, and you're like, wow, why are they introducing all these characters? Like, what does it matter? I thought Gareth Edwards did his job in trying to make you care. Even if you didn't care, he really tried. He gave you a little bit of time with them, and you should try and like these characters rather than throw a whole wall of them and be like, yep, and then spoiler, and they're all dead. That's sort of one of those things that that's tough. And I thought he did that really, really well. So for me, when I saw Rogue One the second time, I'm glad you saw it 2 times too. When I saw it the second time, I liked it more, which I did not think I would. I didn't think I'd like the movie the second time.
I think, and this is not necessarily a positive or a negative, just an observation. Rogue One has almost identical pacing to a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Almost identical pacing. There's stuff at the beginning. You're like, what is going on? What? Why do I give a shit about any of this? And then just as you're about to go, I don't think it starts. And then it's a roller coaster ride for the next 45 minutes, and the roller coaster is the best roller coaster you've ever been on, and then at the end you come out and you're like, all right, I'd watch another one of those. I'd watch. The good thing here's the best thing about Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's like 2 hours and like 15 minutes or something, right?
Yeah,
It's like it's not 2:45.
No.
Which
Thank
would
God,
be
no.
horrific.
Yeah.
That would be terrible. Right, that would be Batman v Superman, kind of like you're wasting my time with this movie. And the Transformers movies are getting up there too. They're way too long. But in terms of pacing, it kind of matches that, and I think it ties back to kind of what you were saying. And Adam, you also, this is a standalone thing. I think they made a conscious decision to make an action movie because they weren't setting up a franchise. I think if they were setting up a franchise, you would have had a lot more of them hammering in the pilot's name, making sure you knew who all the characters were. And I think that's kind of unfortunate because just because we may not be seeing these characters again in something else anytime soon, doesn't mean that you shouldn't want to know their motivations and care about them. That's pretty lazy writing. But like in Rogue One, the end action is so good. And it's so well done, and it brings you in so much that it's I guess I will watch this again, and I'll just watch it again knowing that none of the stuff at the beginning matters nearly as much as how much I'm going to enjoy storming that beach and like the action sequence at the end of the movie. I don't know.
Well, so for me, like the Rogue One action scene at the end, it's basically is a good example of an action scene that really brings you into a film, and that's exactly what Saving Private Ryan did with the beginning of that movie, and that's why Steven Spielberg is a master. Is because he took the end scene of Rogue One and basically put the beginning of his film, and he's like, and we're gonna have a climax.
I was gonna say, but he also put it at the end too,
which is awesome. So that's why Steven Spielberg is a master of his craft. Now Gareth Edwards is obviously not Spielberg, but
he's a hack,
but the action at the end of that movie is some of the best Star Wars action I've ever seen, if not the best. And it's like it's the first time I even get a sense of a good space battle. Jedi has a great space battle.
Yeah,
this one might be better. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, it had really well done cinematography and good shots, and it did a bunch of different things. When like they're like, oh, let's ram this vehicle into another one, and then they're introducing different elements. I was like, look, I mean, it's all stuff like we've kind of seen before, but someone said they did that one thing and said, well, what if?
Yeah.
What if we did this? And they said, okay, there's one part, spoiler. They're trying to escape when they were like, all right, we're done, let's go. And they're trying to hyperspace out. And one of them hits another, like a Star Destroyer comes in and they hyperspace like into the ship. And
ship breaks up.
And it's Vader's ship and he's like, fuck you. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Holy shit, that's really cool. I don't know. Yeah.
Bruce, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What is? Do you have a thing that it set your little inner Star Wars nerd running around with curiosity?
Well, so Force Awakens didn't give that to me, and I said this to the diehard of nerds at the end, like basically Blaine when I talked to Blaine about it. The end of Star Wars, when she at the very end of Force Awakens, when Kylo Ren and her clashing with sabers, and she calls the saber to the end, and then they fight. That's the kind of the pivotal moment where Finn goes down and she has to use the Force to bring the lightsaber to her. Sure. All right. Yeah. Fine. We got it. That's sort of a thing that I was like, all right. Well, I'm expecting that, and it happened. Cool. Neat. I thought Rogue One was going to turn into a spy thriller. I thought they were going to be like, we're going to go to Scarif and we're going to infiltrate the base. And I was like, cool. It'll be them running around shooting a few stormtroopers here and there, and then when basically they land and the shield goes over them, they're like, well, we're trapped. And then they cut back to the rebel base. The rebel base says, I guess we're going. And then the entire fleet jumps in. That's when I was like, holy shit. Like I had no idea we were going to get a full-on space battle in that movie. And I thought it was like maybe just the first time. Maybe the first time was the only thing that got me excited. Second time I watched it, huge smile on my face.
I was looking forward to it
goosebumps.
more.
Because I was expecting like the Force Awakens level of like, 12 X-Wings show up.
Right, yeah.
But no, it was the entire fleet. I was like, whoa, shit.
Yep.
And the escalation from that point on is just so amazing.
Yeah.
It made it.
Sorry, Adam.
It kind of
But no, it's fine.
muddled it a little about how it ties into A New Hope. immediately after.
How so?
Because of their treatment of Vader's pursuit of Leia.
Yeah.
And basically the whole tone of the Empire at the beginning of A New Hope doesn't necessarily match up with the fact that they nearly lost a massive space battle to the Rebel Alliance like hours, let's say maybe a day earlier. Like, it doesn't match up tonally. And also the way they treat Darth Vader in the beginning of A New Hope is this antiquity, like this old guard.
Oh, like the Force is like a superstition, and
yeah, like this old guard. But when he was the most pivotal military element of the last battle clash between rebels and empires, and basically single-handedly saved their asses from that, you would imagine there'd be some sort of thing there. It kind of, to me, it's fine. I don't care. Like, it really doesn't bother
Vader
me.
didn't really do that though.
No, yeah. So I mean, like, I disagree. So the whole thing with
He was the wipe-up crew,
and
he's used as a shock trooper in A New Hope to a degree.
And Tarkin's also very like cocky about how big this Death Star is, and he's like, well, nothing can beat us. And I think that's why Darth Vader is so panicked, honestly, at the beginning of A New Hope, because he knows there's something out there that could bring this whole thing down, and that's why he's so angry.
Well, I'm talking about how the generals and admirals within the Empire treat Vader at the beginning of A New Hope.
Oh,
They treat him as like some sort of like just dog or whatever. Like, oh, well, it's just someone that Moff Tarkin just calls in, who just he does this weird thing or whatever. Except that it's like, I mean, he clearly has military prowess. He clearly was pivotal in this last battle that you guys just fought. It was like,
well, except that he failed.
How so?
So I think
Vader didn't get the plans.
I think that's why Vader is so persistent, because Rogue One does a good job, and Empire does this as well, of showing how the Empire treats its failures. It basically kills them off and casts them out. So I know Vader knows that failure is not an option for him. It does require you to be pretty forgiving with the things he says in his tone in A New Hope.
yeah.
Because A New Hope pretty clearly written that that ship did not just come out of a battle.
Yeah.
But you can also see it from the lens that it did, and it still kind of makes sense.
Well, no, so
Yeah.
hold on. And that's what we were talking about earlier, is that everybody on that ship has to agree we're going to lie.
Of course.
When Vader shows up, we're all going to lie about it. We're going to say this is a diplomatic mission. And if Vader shows up and he's screaming at everybody, which is what he's doing and killing people, then obviously he knows. And so for me, they're all sticking to that same lie. So I don't know why they wouldn't just buckle down and be like, all right, well, yeah, you're right. Here's the plans. Like, they're not going to do that. They're all going to stand by their lie and be like, no. There's nothing here. Everything's fine. Because I mean, and again, Vader doesn't actually know for sure.
Yeah.
He does, but he doesn't. And that's the way it seemed to me.
I think
He was
That was actually, fuck it, spoiler. So
sorry we got the spoilers.
That's fine. There's a total about 2 scenes with Vader. One of them's okay. You see him in his castle, which is kind of awesome.
Vader's
but
White Castle of Fear.
I feel like the ending would have been punched up even more if the first time you saw Vader was when he's in that hallway.
I agree.
Which is as close as I think I've ever seen horror.
I agree.
In a Star Wars movie where
was so well
it's a
shot,
dark hallway, there's nothing. They're recreating basically the
red.
shot from A New Hope, and you're like, wait, are we doing A New Hope right now? What's going on? And then it just goes, vroom, and it's a red light in a dark room, and you're like, holy shit, this is freaky. And he goes full Sith Lord, which we've never seen Vader do.
In that form, at least.
Not killing, like just
cutting
murdering
people
people.
And just like one hand up, blocking blasts, choking dudes, throwing sabers through people, and like just ripping them apart more. I'm like, I mean, that movie's worth it just for that scene. And then there's a guy like up against a door scratching, like, help, which is like, it's like
so great.
submarine panic when you're drowning, and you're like, there's a giant metal door that's supposed to protect me, but right now it's gonna kill me. And it's just like, here, oh my god, and you see a fucking saber go through him and a door.
Yeah, that was
and you're
cool.
like, holy shit. Like that was the moment where someone said, wouldn't it be cool if we saw Vader kick ass? And that to me, it was like the really awesome, cool moment. But then to James's point, he did all that, and then it's kind of funny that he does this moment where he goes through a hallway, murders a bunch of people, and then they do the exact same thing later, and he goes, I'm tired.
Oh yeah, no, I know. He stops. Yeah.
Stormtroopers, you do it.
Yeah.
And then but then it's like, okay, yes, this movie was made in 1977.
Shot 40 years apart.
Fucking exactly. And at the time, Vader was a different character and all this other stuff.
So for an example, this is another movie that I think is great. that does a similar thing, which is X-Men: The First Class.
Oh yeah.
I think X-Men: The First Class is great and can be watched over and over again. It's super enjoyable. But at the end of the movie, you can see the point where they're like, all right, now we gotta make the pieces match up with the X-Men stuff.
I know.
Where they didn't, it sucks because they ended up not having to do it, but then it just has Mystique go, I'm bad for no reason, and you got shot somehow, and it's really anticlimactic because we knew we only had 3 minutes left in this movie and we had to make it match.
I hate when they do
Rogue
that.
One has just a little bit of that at the end, where if you watched New Hope right afterwards, you might be like, oh wow, there's a huge tonal shift between what happened there and what is happening now. Again, still totally thought it was awesome. Thought it was super cool.
I'm more,
Just something I noticed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm more okay with that as opposed to Episode 3 when they end it and they go.
It didn't feel
and
right.
Yoda goes, "All right, I'm
Yes.
going to Dagobah.
Yes.
I'm here for 30 years
Yeah.
now." And then Vader, they go, "Here's your suit. You're going to
Yeah.
be wearing this for
30 years now, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to
Yes.
Tatooine. Here, it's like, oh my
It
god.
was much more seamless than that was, where it's
Yeah.
like, now let's catch up with 30 years. Like, yeah, like,
Well, even the point that we're talking about it now, like I feel like Gareth Edwards really, honestly, I mean, like I've been reading a lot about the fact that he went to Skywalker Ranch and was like digging through old footage and trying to include old footage that he could, like into Rogue One and stuff like that. It's obvious he watched the beginning of A New Hope probably 100 times and was like, how am I going to make this fit? Like how am I going to make this tonally fit? And I thought he did the best he possibly could with 2 movies that were shot 40 years apart, which is, I don't know if that's something that very many people, if anybody, has ever done. Ever tried to match 2 movies like that and been like, yeah, this one happens immediately before, but we shot it 40 years later.
didn't need to bring back Grand Moff Tarkin, though.
No.
The
Didn't need to do
CG.
I love Moff Tarkin, but no.
It's terrible.
We didn't need it. One of the things.
They could have used just a look-alike.
Yeah, they could.
just
I don't
used
know.
a
They could have
look-alike.
used Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They
Ben
could-
Mendelsohn's character could have easily been set up. He was a very imposing, creepy, kind of like political villain that was like would have been perfectly slated to be like, and then he became Grand Moff Tarkin.
Do your thing.
Well, yeah. It's all right. It's all right. Fuck, man. I should have been working on a segue. Well, there is one thing that I think Rogue One did exceptionally well, like so well that it's hard to appreciate in a weird way, but it totally acknowledges that the weakness in the Death Star was intentionally there, which is never something they talk about in A New Hope. It's like, oh, they were so fucking stupid they left this hole open that we could just shoot.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, no, that was actually super well written. The character motivations behind it were super well done. The fact that it got out and into the Rebel Alliance without the Empire really knowing was also really good. And I think out of all of the writing successes of linking it to A New Hope, that's probably the best one. It's telling the story about how that happened.
It's almost like those nerds that Bruce hates who apologize for the prequels. This was almost like a really good version of that.
It was canon.
Well, yeah, because where you go like really, there's an exhaust port on the top and no one knew to put like a grate on it. It was like, and then if you go, well, no, the guy he was an angry employee of the Empire, and he actually put that there on purpose, and he said, it's small enough, no one will notice. And it's like, yeah, and it's a fucking 1 in a million womp rat chance or whatever.
Back in Black Home.
Shooting womp rats up in black, but
Well, you know what Rogue One was missing? Rampant sexual depravity.
there it is.
Which is something you can find on Crunchyroll.com. And dine to your heart's content for free for an entire month, for 30 days. And mostly I'm saying that about 2 particular shows, and these are just my favorites right now, Yuri on Ice and Keijo. Because I brought this up on another podcast.
The ice skating one?
Yeah. It's
looks
man,
really cool.
It's both kinds of anime sex trash all in one, and they're both really good.
You say that with a positive
I
cadence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yuri on Ice is beautiful. It's about men enjoying each other and expressing themselves through the art of dance and really, really deep hip lines. Yeah, there's maybe once an episode there's just, we just happen to be talking in a public bath. How weird. How weird. And now I got to stand up for weird. But then the smoldering emotions come out because they hug for no reason. And there's always that shot of the trainer who's got like really pouty, shiny lips. He's always just like touching. It's so great.
Is this an ad read?
I was gonna say, when did it?
Huh? No,
They didn't
it's my
sponsor
dream
this
journal.
one.
But Keijo involves a girl judo throwing somebody else with her nipples. So it's pretty much the best
Pull up
show
a
ever.
Keijo clip. Keijo.
I don't know. We're really in this right now.
We're
seen
in
it?
deep.
No.
It's awesome.
So
We showed
that
you the
sounds
trailer
amazing.
though, right? We showed you the trailer?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And then what was the
Drifters.
Drifters. Yeah.
Drifters.
It sounds like the perfect show ever
It's
made.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with historical badasses.
You might actually really like it.
That sounds really cool.
It starts off with like do
Yeah,
the ad read and I'll tell you about
there's
it, 'cause it is
plenty
an awesome show.
there's plenty of great content on Crunchyroll. You can watch all episodes ad-free in 1080p HD, simulcast in Japan, so you get your episodes as fast as they show up on Japanese TV. So fuck off with all your excuses torrenting all that crap. You can play it, or you can enjoy it across a multitude of devices: Xbox, PlayStation, Wii U for some reason, Roku, Android, iOS, Roku, Apple TV, etc. So you can try it Crunchyroll Premium for 30 days. That's 1 month. I don't know why they say it both ways. For free by going to crunchyroll.com/dudesoup. Should give it a shot. It's fuck man. It's for the equivalent price of Netflix. You can get all of the delicious anime trash that they don't have. Like, hey Joe.
If you find the wealth of things to watch there a little overwhelming, the best way you can sort through it is by watching fan service.
Starring one Elise Willems.
Because the only reason we found out about Drifters is because while we were filming 11 Little Roosters last week, Elise was doing fan
right, she was on
service
fan service.
and Always Open.
Yeah.
But she came back from fan service with tons of knowledge about shows we hadn't heard of yet, and Drifters is what she was like, we got to try Drifters.
We
and
watched
put it on immediately.
one episode while we had like a slow day. I think it was like our Saturday.
It was the one day we had off.
We had 1 day off, which was fine, worth it. And then we watched it and like, Bruce, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like it
badass.
is. It starts off with
I gotta watch it
a Japanese battle,
Samurai Battle.
samurai battle. So you're already like, okay, I get it, historic battle, cool. But everyone kind of looks like Attack on Titan a little bit. Yeah. And it's just this badass fight. And then, spoiler, the main character of this thing dies in like a gruesome way. And he wakes up and he's in a hallway with hundreds of doors and a guy at a desk like an old computer. And he's like, oh, you're going to this time period now. And you're like, okay, I'm in.
Cool, all right.
This is awesome.
So it's like Quantum Leap.
Apparently Jesus is a character.
Cool. But he goes by
Whoa.
Jesus.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And also speaking of Elise, she is not on this podcast because she is sick.
Yeah.
And she's been coughing up a shitload, and also making her talk for an hour straight is probably not
Ironic,
the best
she
on
had the
her.
least amount of work while we were in Austin. It's like she had a lot of time to just get sick.
I had the time of my life. So yeah, we were gone last week. That's why the podcast went back to classics. But man, it is just a delight getting to work with the Austin RT folk. And we filmed 11 Little Roosters. The pictures came out of that. Man, I have not stank that bad in
By
a
the
long
time,
time.
my
by the
deodorant
time this
stolen.
podcast is available, the first
you're right.
The
The
first
first concert.
Should be up,
360
right? It should be
concert
up.
is available.
So there's a lot of
We're still live.
We're
right now,
pioneers of a new medium.
We are. There was
Well-
there were a lot of long days of a lot of dancing, a lot of thrusting. Yes. And I'm not going to say I got the worst of it because you had a leather jacket, but I was wearing a fur coat.
Yeah.
And we were inside like this really hot, balmy nightclub.
Yeah, we're heroes.
This is all the brainchild of Josh and Blaine.
Yeah.
And
Which is wonderful.
I gotta say, I was quite surprised when we showed up for our costume fitting to discover that none of my stuff was skin tight at all.
That was interesting.
I thought that was actually
They
kind
put-
of funny.
I think that was a Blaine thing.
didn't want the
I think he
competition.
wanted to be.
feel threatened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he didn't want me to be in skin tight stuff.
that makes sense. But it was funny because, so I'm terrible about this. They sent us all the scripts beforehand, like, here you go. And I was like, totally going to get to it. Not until the night before we shot that I was like,
you're running
we all sat down, like, let's go through the scripts.
I read it on the plane on
yeah.
the way out there.
man.
I had basically looked through all of them.
I read them
But we
all.
certainly hadn't memorized our lines or
no.
anything.
Yeah,
like that.
I was
No.
I was very behind. But the first couple days we were shooting these concert things, which a lot of fans came out for to be in the crowd shots. But man, doing 360 shoots is way different than
It's a stage play.
yeah.
We were basically putting on a show.
Yeah,
It's a stage
And
play.
It was kind of cool that the night before, I believe, it was either Blaine or Josh, they switched off, but they like wrote songs for us.
yeah.
And then we performed them, and then we had to go to the office and then record our version of it. I was like, this is very intense.
Very curious to know what those will end up sounding like.
But man, yeah, we were crazy busy doing that stuff. Those were like 12-hour days, just kind of shooting and like stuff. And I can't wait to see what it looks
it
like.
was a lot of fun though.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
And
doing that.
yeah, again, level of stink. I haven't smelt out of myself in a very long time. So, going back to this.
I want to focus on the sting.
I know, he really does.
It's also my first time wearing a dancer's belt. Bruce and I had the extreme pleasure of packing our nuts into our own bodies and then yanking a
thong.
piece of floss up into our assholes.
It's an actual thong.
Yeah, I started off with a medium because I was like, I don't want stuff flopping around. I want it all tight.
No, you
yes,
don't.
tight it was. I've never had a sore ass crack before.
Yeah.
But that was new.
I had one as well. Yep. Every time I pulled it out, it ripped hair out. Every time. Every single time.
I'm blessed that I'm not hairy, but I did definitely make a pucker face every time I had to dislodge that thing because it started to basically bind with my skin after a while. And then
James.
so
We lucked out.
I know, you really did.
I was wearing these stretchy red pants, which are awesome, but by the end of the first day, I had already done so many deep thrusts into those things that they were thoroughly soiled. And I was told
Soiled?
I mean, he didn't shit on his pants.
No,
it sounds like-
just with his own body.
Yeah,
it
my
was
own disgust.
His own.
I was told that they couldn't launder them because it would ruin the shininess.
Right.
So they would spray it down with this disinfectant spray.
It just looked like you had claw marks on your.
Eventually,
pants.
yes.
They ended up having to buy another pair.
2 more pairs.
You ruined them.
I don't know what happened,
That's
but
an
yeah,
IMDb
by the
trivia.
third day, there was discoloration patterns on it, and it was right on my dick, so it looked like that burning hand from Shadow of Mordor. But
Yeah.
did that on my dick.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too diva here, but I think I'm allowed to now that I'm a Hollywood actor.
Oh, yeah,
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 famous
absolutely.
Hollywood actor.
Hollywood, yeah.
We're in Austin. My favorite thing. So being on movie sets can suck balls. It's actually a big reason why I didn't want to go into that kind of production. I wanted to be more on the internet stuff because I like the way we produce stuff. Because a lot of times when you're on sets, it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of what do I do? And it's just a lot of busy work and moving around, especially when you're like a PA or something like that. This is the first time being on the other side of it where we were pretty much the talent and we didn't have to do anything other than perform. And they're like, go out there and just say your lines and do your thing.
Stay out of the way and let other people do their jobs.
But in that sense too, it was professional, whereas there's craft services, which is always really cool. Free food whenever you want it. Really cool. It was just
Throw it in
funny.
the bag. They don't
Well,
say
the best part was Bruce had tight leather pants, you had a tight red pants, and I had tight pants and a mesh shirt. And every day it was, who wants bean burritos?
Who wants refried beans
There
and
were a lot of
fajitas?
burritos on set.
It was everything that could possibly make you bloat, and we ate it. And it was just, but it
We
was,
liked it.
I know.
I loved it. It was great, but it was,
Taco Cabana breakfast tacos, man.
I've never been.
taste them every morning.
I've never been
On the air.
I've never been that gassy. I felt so bad. Lawrence and I on one of the days had a fart corner.
No, which was a terrible idea.
It was the worst
sealed
idea.
It
off.
wasn't a fart corner because it came out into the whole
I
set.
know,
Yeah.
it was sealed off. It was the worst place
Yeah.
to do it. It would just go there
just
and
a
then
nook.
come right back out.
Yeah.
Like James knows. Do you know how much I wanted to fart on that set and I didn't?
Yeah.
I was holding it in almost
Well,
the entire
we
day.
kept saying that if Bruce farted, it would sound like when you take a blade of grass.
because I had a thong on.
Well,
Yeah.
Bruce, actually, so having farted extensively with that thing up my ass, it actually makes it really quiet. It acts like a spacer.
yeah, it did.
So your cheeks don't pop. It's just
Yeah, because I would feel it, because I'd be like, "Oh, this one's gonna be loud," and I'd fart and I'd go,
It doesn't do that for leather pants. There was
no, yours got trapped.
They come out you got to shake them out your
Yeah.
ankles like sand.
Well, and then one of the days they gave us knee pads that went on under our tight clothes.
Oh.
And I think
Oh,
only
yeah.
Bruce and I put them on.
yeah, yeah.
But I remember us being like, get up, like trying to pull it up, and then you put it on even tighter. So it was just an airtight pocket.
Walking
then-
around
and
in a
it-
bubble suit.
One of the days we shot
touch
at
me.
we shot at a house, and Lawrence has this picture of me sitting alone on like a bench chair, and he just took a picture of me from behind and like texted it to me while I was out there. It was because I was farting so much.
Aw.
I was like, I can't be inside the house because there's nowhere to go, and so I was just sitting there going like, burp, burp.
Oh, we're movie stars.
And then I think I may have told you this. What
Glamour
happened?
of Tom Cruise.
The part of my outfit was a belt, but
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
the
like
belt.
it was like an S&M belt, and it was a death trap.
It
Oh,
looked
yeah.
like a Cadillac's like
Yeah.
symbol on it or whatever.
Had a nice
but-
buckle.
And it was like a it was
click, click,
it
click,
was like
click,
click
click,
click, and then there was like a secret button on the bottom, but you had to move it in such a way that it'd get it off. But the only way to take it off was you had to make the belt slightly tighter, one
you had
inch
to
at a
pull it
time.
to loosen it.
And so I really had to go to the bathroom like a mad number 2. And we were shooting at that armory where it's just like it's like an old prison or something. Like it's very scary. But I went to the bathroom and I was just trying to get the belt off, but it just kept getting tighter and tighter.
like a
and tighter.
Chinese finger trap.
Yeah, and I was just pulling myself tighter, and I didn't get in time to go. And then one of the AD came out and goes very nicely, "Hey Adam, we need you on set whenever you can get out there." And I'm like, "I'm right there!" And I'm on set. I'm like, "Lawrence, help! This belt's it's
I thought,
killing me."
I thought that it was a button on
You're
the
both bent
inside.
over.
It's a button. They thought
like
it
a lever
was too.
Uh-huh.
There was like a lever, and they ended up cutting the belt in half because that broke it. The thing was a piece of shit. Looked cool. I don't blame anyone other than the belt manufacturer for this horrible thing, but that was man, I was happy to get that thing off of me.
Well, on long lines of performance, I got a Do Soup Theater for you guys.
Okay,
there
all
was-
right. Yes, this
There was
is
a particular video that captured my fancy.
the impresario.
Sorry, as we
call
call
him.
him. Google it. So this is to set the stage. This is a video on Twitter. The video is somebody recording their phone because they went to Thailand and looked at the local stories on Snapchat, and this is a transcript of the Snapchat story that they found.
Okay.
And it's several Snapchat videos all on a line. So I'll try to narrate it as best I can. But it jumps
I
around.
guess for those unaware, Snapchat is a fleeting service in the sense that
They're aware.
you watch and then it goes away or whatever, and that's why it's weird when you explain the story because it's someone filming their phone.
Yes,
Right,
because
so-
they found the stories on Snapchat.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so
I hate Snapchat.
it opens with a shirtless man, pretty good shape, British, by the judge of his accent, which is kind of an issue because some of it is unintelligible. His accent is too thick. But he is standing next to a very attractive woman, and it opens, "My boy," she says, "Hi." Pretty oddly deep voice for a woman. "What you mean? Her put me off." On to the next video. "Call the cops, muffin chops. I got fucking Jeffrey with me here now. He's probably got a bigger dick than me." And then in the background you see Jeffrey walking around with a towel.
Yeah. Hello.
Third video, our narrator is now receiving fellatio from this person.
Narrator.
"Jeffrey can suck a dick. Wow, what a fucking boy. What a boy."
So should we clarify that Jeffrey is a Thai lady boy?
yeah.
At this point,
Jeffrey's
it starts to
definitely a Thai
become
lady boy.
clear that Jeffrey
He's a
is
Thai
in fact
lady
a Thai
boy.
lady boy.
Well, our narrator, I believe in the next part, makes it very clear.
Yeah, well, yeah. So in the next video, our narrator is lying on the bed, and Jeffrey is across the room again in a towel. Jeffrey! She's not saying anything. "Get your fucking dick out then." Next video. "What are you doing now? Yeah, what are you doing? Put your fucking ciggy out." She's smoking. "Stroke me dick." "Yeah, I'm not sucking yours." Next video.
He's watched these so many times.
I know.
Yeah. "Is this the fittest lad you've ever seen in your life? What the hell? Get your fucking dick out." This is all the narrator.
What's the context of the scene?
In that one, he's just talking to his phone.
Okay.
So in this one, they're in bed, and you see their torsos because he's filming like that. But the implication is that she is jerking him off. "Yeah, stroke me dick." Just in case that wasn't clear. All right. Now the much like the end of Rogue One, the story starts to take off.
Yes, this is the climax. Okay.
So
Confusing, somewhat jarring
will
in the
be a
beginning, but there's a payoff.
Pays off.
so now Jeffrey, as we are led to believe, is bent over and getting fucked doggy style. And he's fucking but filming at the same
Our
time.
narrator is doing that.
Yeah,
Our hero.
Our hero.
Protagonist.
Our protagonist is fucking.
And here's what it said.
This is a hero
"Hey,
journey.
Dave." Is he saying Dave? "He fucking did, little man." Now Jeffrey is on her back, or Dave. I don't know. So Jeffrey's now on her back and using both her hands to cover up her own dick for some reason.
Oh, okay.
"Get your fucking dick out. Get your dick out." While he's saying this, he's pulling away her hands and she keeps covering her dick.
And do you make a note for the noise Jeffrey is making? Jeffrey
is a very deep moaner.
Jeffrey is making the sounds of pleasure during this sequence. Jeffrey, who for all intents and purposes, from the waist up, looks like a very attractive woman.
Very
Gorgeous.
Yes, like
gorgeous.
breasts and everything, like just like all this, and then like the deepest. Nothing romantic about that.
So yes, he's frantically pulling away her hands to see
The dick.
his dick.
dick.
She keeps covering back up. "Get your fucking dick out. Get your dick out. Get your dick out." And then, "Oh no!" It's in the back. "Get your dick out." Whoa, he's come. He's come. Dave's fucking blowing his load. Dave, you fucking little man boy. And then
Well, was it Dave or Jeffrey?
apparently Dave. But while he was fucking Dave came on herself because that's what happens.
Oh, right, yeah.
I've been told.
If you hit the prostate right, yeah.
Yeah.
mean,
and then
what?
And then our narrator is standing and appears to be pretty fucked up at this point. I don't know if it's on weed or alcohol. "What a waste of time. He was," and then unintelligible British slang. "He was no good to me. I feel fucking ill." I'm not sure what that exactly means. And then he's yelling at his phone again. "What the fuck are you going on about?" Basically, yeah, he's fitter than most of you fucking ugly little trolls. Maybe he was responding to somebody who was like, "How dare
Probably.
you?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
someone's talking to Snapchat. Okay.
So okay, in this
He's being
video,
judged.
Is this the moral
no,
statement?
that's the next one.
Well, this one's just sucking my soul.
This
Jeffrey?
this one, Jeffrey is now sitting on the edge of the bed, and narrator is standing. And I'll just narrate as it goes. Cock off now. Get your dick out. Get your dick out now. Mine's smaller than yours, probably, he says. And then the camera pins down, and he's wagging his dick at her, at Dave. Come on, get your fucking dick out. I'm not ashamed. And then the piece de resistance
Yeah.
at the end is saying into his phone, going to Thailand and not shagging a ladyboy is like going to fucking Turkey and not eating a fucking kebab, so fuck off. This is called My Story, Snapchat.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Benson.
Beautiful story.
Yeah, it's it took a couple of viewings for me to really comprehend it all, and I'm still not sure that I did.
Yeah, you kept showing it to us. It's weird.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, he just wants the Thai lady boy to get his dick out.
He does.
That's it.
Yeah, well, he wanted to see her dick. He was really preoccupied with I don't know, slapping dicks together.
Yeah, I wonder
Which,
why.
hey, more power to him. I don't care.
I mean, I respect this man.
He
I feel like
lives so free.
well, that's what I actually I was very envious of that because I feel like that's going to be our future eventually since
Yeah.
we film everything.
Everything's gonna have
and
holes
pretty
in
soon
dicks.
that choice will one day would just be taken away from us. So I think this guy is he's sort of the star child from the end of 2001: Space Odyssey. He is the breed of a new kind.
Exactly.
This is, I mean, get used to it, people.
He's the future.
Also,
the
he's
future.
ripped, so that means
Yeah,
he
he
can
was
have
fucking
anyone.
ripped.
He's shredded.
Well,
And he
he's
chose
ripped.
Dave /
Also,
Jeffrey.
I mean,
Yeah, he was
some
really confused
people
about naming.
some people like females, some like blokes.
Some like
If
like
you
both.
can have both at the same
Both at
time,
the same
time.
what a future we live
Why
in.
not?
That's
all
amazing.
traps, man. The internet loves them.
If half of that could be a horse, we'd be set.
Speaking of things you have to get used to, we're moving on to some core ass nerd shit, which is, I guess, the name of this particular segment. Official specs for the Nintendo Switch have
Oh, shit.
leaked. It's bad.
It's really bad.
It's real bad.
Oh, what? It is?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so there's two modes that the Switch will run in. Yeah, he's got a little thing there. I don't know, Benson. You're just falling apart, buddy. So it's docked and undocked. Essentially, it's got the same CPU no matter what, but the GPU will clock up or down based on whether or not it's docked.
It's like what is it? The Surface Book
Yeah,
does that.
something like
Yeah.
So the it's got a four core processor. The CPU is 1.02 gigahertz all the time, which is terrifically slow, by the way. For comparison, a PS4 has dual 4-core processors, each of which at 1.6 gigahertz.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's got twice the cores, and all of them are clocked about 50% higher. The GPU hurts even more. When it's docked, it runs at 768 millihertz, by the way. And then when it's undocked, it's at 307, or sorry, megahertz. Millihertz would be impossible to run anything on.
Yeah.
By comparison, a PS4 has an 800 megahertz GPU. So when docked, the GPU is almost, just based purely on clock speed, almost as good as a PS4's. But when it's pulled off the dock, it's about half.
PS4 came out
2013.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
So saving grace is it's probably only 720p display when you pull it off of the dock. When you put it on the dock, that's good enough to do 1080p. But yeah, if you were expecting the Nintendo Switch to be the next powerhouse console, those dreams die now.
It never is.
But it never is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was thinking, you know, in the midst of turning on my TV and turning on my sound bar and making sure that UHD color was working right, and then booting up my PS4, which yelled at me for not turning it off right the time before, and then spending 10 minutes to get into Final Fantasy and then have it load, I realized, actually, I really wouldn't mind playing Zelda on a tablet right now. If it just turned right on and I could just have something on the TV and just be like, bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. Also, the fact we were gone for a week, and you know, we brought an Xbox and a PS4 that I think we hooked
Two
up the
Xboxes.
Saturday before we left.
Yeah.
Xboxes.
Oh.
So
You're
if I mean, you're playing Marvel Puzzle Quest back to back. That's exactly what the Switch theoretically would have been for.
Well, that's I always see people get upset about this stuff. You have to kind of get yourself in check and remember why you buy Nintendo hardware.
Yeah.
It's for exclusive Nintendo games. Typically, that's what I've learned. Where I bought a Wii U not expecting to play Skyrim on it or whatever, you know, any multi-console release game. I was like, that's going to be on a console or a PC, man. Like if that's the experience you're looking for, don't look to Nintendo for groundbreaking tech, but look at them for optimization, because those Zelda's gonna,
art direction.
yeah, their games are gonna run great on their own hardware.
I just want them to release more of those games. That's my only thing.
Like more mainline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird. They haven't. They've been releasing a lot of them for 3DS, which is weird given that console's been out forever. But yeah, I think they're learning how to do AAA 1080p production. I remember that was a huge deal for Wii U. There was some interview 2 years in the Wii U. They were like, yeah, we didn't have any idea how hard it was and how long it took to make 1080p caliber games. So maybe they've staffed up and they know now, so they can hit the ground running. I think it's been read between the lines kind of thing, but Nintendo Japan and Nintendo America seem to have pinpointed that they do need a steady, constant flow of software from Nintendo proper, because no other company is going to probably be making a whole lot of stuff for it.
Ideally, Nintendo, the reason they keep the specs so low is because they're trying to keep costs down
Battery life.
and therefore pass the costs on to the consumer. So hopefully the Switch will be cheap.
If the Switch comes out at this is very aggressive, but I think 150 would be okay.
What?
Gimme. I'm just saying.
No way.
They could turn money on 150, given that. I mean, it's a what is it? A Tegra X. So it's essentially. Well, I mean, the Nvidia Shields
It's an NVIDIA Shield.
were apt comparisons, and this is like a Shield from 2 years ago. So they could probably pull off 150, and Nintendo, I'm sure, has deep ties with Chinese chip manufacturers and stuff, so they can probably negotiate a pretty good deal in that regard. I think it could be 150, 200. And when you look at that as like, okay, this is a plain thing. This is my girlfriend wants to watch Netflix, so I'm going to do this while I'm half listening to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I know we did a whole bit on Star Wars and kind of just went into the. It is South Park's so fucking smart, but they did the whole member berries thing.
Yeah.
Nintendo's like member berries in the best possible way.
And it'll have virtual console.
And they've been so that's actually the thing that kind of excites me. You've been able to do emulators and all the stuff on your phone and PSPs and Vitas and stuff for years. I kind of want something like if Nintendo put out something that was $10 a month, it was their version of Xbox Live, and that was their Netflix, and you had access to their entire back catalog of Nintendo games that they've had, and it's on a mobile device that's, basically a tablet. Like, hell yeah, that'd be great.
They don't do an all-you-can-eat thing, though, do they?
No.
Yeah.
It's piecemeal. It's interesting because, again, I've never seen any numbers about them because Nintendo never put it out. But once they started Virtual Console on the Wii, that brought in so much revenue that was basically its own business unit. And I don't know if that's slowed down because Wii unit sales were so huge, and I'm sure people were just desperate for something to use it for. So of course everybody's going to buy Super Mario Brothers or whatever. But yeah, the premise that a tablet gaming system with buttons and sticks that can run GameCube and 64 Super Nintendo games and new stuff, and then hopefully Wii U titles at some point too, because Wii is on Wii U now. That's got a lot of potential, especially if it's cheap and the battery life's decent.
Mario Run sold 2.85 million digital units in its first day, and Pokemon Go was the biggest game of this year.
Yeah.
Like, they're probably looking at that and going, shit, if we just make Pokemon Go exclusive, the next version of it exclusive to Switch, done.
Yeah.
They win.
But speaking of Nintendo Switch, everyone, including ourselves, will get our first chance to actually play it at RTX Sydney, which is a pretty fucking cool get. They announced that, I think, middle of last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be there. Nintendo of Australia is going to bring it by, and you'll be able to get your hands on it and play it. I'm pretty sure. I would guess Zelda is the game.
I think what they should do is they should probably send us some, and then that way we'll have something to do on the flight
That'd
over.
be
We'll have a pretty good
really
opinion
smart,
on it,
Plane
right?
ride,
Yeah.
for the plane ride.
The plane ride is
Please.
the perfect test. It's even in the trailer. So
We're gonna spend 20
send us some of those. We'll we'll just bring them right back to you.
We're gonna spend 28 hours on a plane. We need those switches.
Yep, that sounds good. I think that's the only fair thing to do.
Yeah.
So if you're in the area, if you were maybe on the fence about going and hopefully trying the Nintendo Switch will tip you over, make sure to get tickets at rtxsydney.com. Man, I'm hoping that we can pull strings and jump a line. Or
Oh, I'm guessing that we'll hopefully be able to.
boy, I hope.
We're probably gonna have to play Achievement Hunter in Splatoon.
Well,
You
we
guys been
could
practicing
beat that.
Splatoon, right?
I've never played. I love hanging out with those guys. We can't talk about the thing we have T-shirts for, but is an animated thing.
Oh, I mean, there's nothing to
talk
know.
I don't know.
We don't have anything to tell.
Oh man, I wish we did. That'd be cool.
I mean, at this point, I think people understand what you're talking about, but it's
Yeah.
but there's no information yet.
No, there's not. I can't make any promises. I would hope by the time RTX Sydney comes around, we could have something more to talk about then.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah, no promises.
I hope so too.
I'm trying to just entice you to go. Also, there's gonna be air conditioning this time, so that's gonna be fun.
Yay.
That's enough right there.
Yeah.
Sydney's fucking hot
Yeah.
in February
Man,
or January.
I had a migraine the night I saw Rogue One. The last time I had a migraine was in Sydney.
Oh yeah, that's
So
right.
yeah,
Man, I
it's,
forgot about
at this
that.
point, my life is the milestones are being driven into the ground when I get splitting, mind-numbing pain.
Yeah.
I don't like to compare you to Martin Luther King, but I will.
I am a hero. It's true. You're welcome, everyone. See this?
Yeah.
You're consuming it with your eyes.
Lawrence has been doing this a lot
I know.
today.
It's my
I know.
posture
I know. Gavin does this bit where like explain to a caveman, but just even explain to someone who died 100 years ago. I mean, like,
Lawrence?
yeah. Well, just saying,
The majesty of me.
you don't understand. I was in Australia. What's Australia? Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a country island. You haven't discovered
prison?
it yet. Yeah.
That prison
Yeah.
colony?
I flew there for fun. People came there to see me, and I had a headache. And he's like, okay.
It was a
I
really
lost
bad
my
headache.
first 3 children to cholera, but
really bad headache.
that's cool.
They wouldn't let me jump the line to play the new Nintendo console.
And then
What is that? Shut up.
And then the second time I got one of these earth-shattering headaches, I went and saw a film about space wizards, and I used these magic glasses.
They went, what's a film? what
What are glasses?
What are glasses?
And they would take what we perceive as 2 dimension and make it into 3 dimensions, and then at this point, this guy hangs himself.
He tries to attack me with a rock because he just.
Well, we're
he can't
talking to
process his
someone
emotions.
100 years ago, so we're talking to someone 1916.
Yeah.
So he's probably lost half of his face.
He's fighting in World War One. Yeah.
I had a bad headache, so
Every time he breathes, a little bit of mustard gas still hits his
again,
lungs.
I had a bad headache. So fuck that guy. But I guess that's gonna do it for today's Dude Soup. We're out of time.
Such a high note.
I love it.
Yeah. If you're watching live, make sure to stay tuned for the post show. It's coming up next. We're gonna look at some fan art. There's a lot of good stuff this week. If you're not watching live, thank you for joining us, however you chose to, whether that's listening in audio or watching on video. And make sure you come back next week. Actually, we're going to be on vacation starting next week. So
Yes, we are.
the next couple of weeks are going to be back in the OG set, which is to say that group of chairs in front of a webcam.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. It'll be a nice little.
We'll probably be talking about Rogue One
mine.
again,
Yeah, right.
because nothing else will have come out.
No, we should talk about the what's coming up in 2017 in terms
yeah.
of games and movies and stuff.
Absolutely.
Talk about what we're excited about.
Suicide Squad 2.
Like Suicide Squad 2.
It's called Suicide
And
Squad.
Suicide Squad.
And Gotham City Sirens. Don't forget about Gotham City Sirens, everybody.
Is that a show?
It's another David Ayer movie that he might make about the female characters from the Gotham City.
Poison Ivy.
How's
universe.
David Ayer
Harley
getting
Quinn
work?
and-
Whatever.
what was the other
All
one?
right. Post show's coming up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned or have a good day, depending on when it is you're watching this.
The full Ruben.
Yeah,
it's still a game.
Oh yeah, we still play it.
That's still a game.
He will tweet something that's sort of like, "Come on, Joel. Like, why would you tweet that?"
Yeah.
And then one of us will try to reply with a more equally or infinitely more
Yeah,
hilarious reply, and that reply will get more retweets and favorites than his original tweet.
Yeah.
Poor Joel.
I
just knocks him down a
I
peg
created
every
the game
time.
and people have tried to take it